you all. This is quite the turnout. Today is not a political rally. What today is about is discussing an issue that is rampant throughout America. It is a very serious issue, obviously, in this community. And it is an issue that we simply, as a nation, in Congress, in the media, do not talk about. And that is the issue of poverty and the toll that poverty is taking on the people of our country. Now, poverty is something that is bad no matter where it is in the world. But what is strange about what goes on in America is that we are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. So when you have desperate poverty, whether it's McDowell County or whether it's any place else in this country, whether it's inner cities all over this country, when you have unemployment rates that are very, very high, when you have opiate addiction or heroin addiction rates that are very, very high, when you have large numbers of people who are incarcerated, when you have people who cannot access decent quality health care or mental health treatment, when you have communities that don't even have grocery stores in America or access to bank branches, when you have kids who have no hope and have no opportunity, and when all of this takes place in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, something is fundamentally wrong. Just the United Nations report came out recently, documenting how poorly we do with regard to our children. In America, we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. About 22% of our kids nationally live in poverty, but obviously in low-income communities, the number is much higher than that. We have families all over this country who have bright kids, who have the capability of getting a higher education, but they simply don't have the funds to do that. So what we want to do today is two things, I think, basically. It's an informal hearing, informal discussion. One, we want to talk about the problems so that I and the American people can understand what's going on. And number two, equally important, we want to talk about solutions. And the solutions are going to come, yes, from Washington, yes, from state government, yes, from the local communities. But you guys who live here know the issues better than anybody else. So I very much want to hear your ideas. And we're very lucky this morning to have a great panel. And I want to begin, before we get to the panel, in thanking Linda and Joel McKinney for running this food bank and also for allowing us to use their facility. We thank them very much. I met Sabrina Schrader, what was it, a couple of years ago, Sabrina? 3? When Sabrina was kind enough to come to Washington, we held a hearing which was called, and I want to get into this issue today, it was called Poverty as a Death Sentence. You remember that? And what it was about, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later. You know, when people say poverty, they say, well, you know, it's too bad. If you're poor, you can't buy a big flat screen TV. You can't go out to a fancy restaurant. Too bad you're poor. But everybody here knows that's not really what poverty is about. What poverty is about is dealing with the stress of whether or not your family is going to make it every single week. And I don't know if Sabrina remembers, but I remember there was a doctor there, really very good doctor. And he talked about the physiology of poverty. People know what I mean by that? Physiology of poverty is the stress that your body deals with every day when you worry about whether the lights stay on and whether you have enough money to put gas in the car to get to work. And if you can't put gas in the car to get to work, you lose your job. And what happens when you lose your job to the rest of your life? People on the edge every single day. Now, people who have money don't understand what that is about. But when you don't have any money, you're fighting for survival every day, and that takes a huge toll on your health. And that is why people in this county are living years less than in other parts of America, because that stress and the pounding away daily, day after day after day of poverty. Now, I come from a rural state as well, state of Vermont. And the issues that I'm seeing here are not radically different than exist in my state or other states in this country. So what today is about is talking about what is going on, talking about how we go forward from here, and always remembering that this is not a poor country, that this country is the wealthiest country in the history of the world, that we have one family that's worth $149 billion. More wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people, that the top 1/10 of 1% now own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. So that's the context I think we should be thinking about. Okay, let's begin. Sabrina, I think many of you know Sabrina Schrader. And we thank Sabrina for being here, for helping us to organize the event, and for coming to Washington a few years ago. Sabrina, take it away.
Well, I just want to say you all make me very proud. I'm really glad to be here. So, like he said, I'm Sabrina Schrader. I grew up in Twin Branch Holler. All of my family and I were born into generational poverty, like many of you. I know what it's like to not have enough food, and what it's like to stand in line at a food bank, not have enough money to pay your electric bill, what it's like to get unemployment, what it's like to not have health insurance, what it's like to walk miles in the snow because your car is broken down, what it's like to be the only one in my family who graduated from high school and the only one to get a bachelor's degree. It's not something that I've ever felt proud of. While many children are born into poverty every day, poverty is not a child's fault, and it is not a family's fault. No one who was born into poverty asks for a life filled with struggling for everything that you need to live with every day. But nowadays, we seem more interested in taking things away from these families instead of giving them a fair shot. I wish it all had been easier, but unfortunately for now, my life continues to be a struggle. Even though programs and people helped me to get this far, I still have more than $30,000 in college loans and thousands in medical bills. I still don't make enough to pay back my college loans, and it's been 8 years since I've earned my bachelor's degree. I'm still constantly working on solving years of problems that were created beyond my control. Some reasons for the continuation of poverty here are there are no colleges in McDowell County, and there is not a road to connect us with everywhere else. Improving and building new roads like the King Cole Highway will give us access to resources, hospitals, colleges, and each other while creating jobs. Currently, people need immediate medical attention, and they end up dying on the way to the hospital or in a helicopter. And living in poverty every day creates toxic stress. That's the physiology that Senator Sanders was talking about, the physiological problems. Causes more problems like mental illness, addiction, and preventable health issues. We need more healthcare providers and addiction treatment centers to combat these issues in every county of West Virginia. Some people say poverty is a death sentence, and I have seen many die before their time. I've had several family members, friends, and classmates all die young. Car accidents are common, cancer, and serious